Hey folks, I'm Mike. Do you hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/Inkdependence. It keeps this blog ad-free. Hello folks, and welcome to Inkdependence.com. Today we're taking a look at this ink. This is Taccia Ebi, which is, I read, a way of preparing shrimp in Japan. Ebi, it's this little shrimp guy. And this ink was sent to me for review by Pen Chalet, so thank you very much to Braden and Ron over at Pen Chalet. This is a cool new line of ink from a Japanese maker, and it's produced by Nakabayashi, or at least made for Taccia by Nakabayashi. I don't actually know who makes this ink. However, I've heard from reliable sources that it's not Sailor, so I don't really know. It comes in these little bottles, which are 40 mils. I can get this guy open. There we go. An interesting thing about these bottles is that the ink doesn't fall out of the bottle. It's got these little shoulders in here. Never seen a bottle or a box like that. So anyway, this is what the bottle looks like, and it is kind of close to what the Sailor bottles used to look like, or the Four Seasons bottles, those kinds of things. But it's a little bit different. 40 mils instead of 50. It's got rounder shoulders. It's a little bit nicer bottle, I think. It doesn't have the silly insert that Sailor used to put in those bottles. And as you can see, this is going to be an interesting color of ink. Not what I typically think of shrimp looking like, but this is an ink that I have grown to really like. So let's take a look at it on the page. And as you can see here, this is a very dark sort of maroonish ink. So you can get some of the different characteristics there as we move it around a little bit. You get some very nice light areas like up in this corner. It reminds me most of inks like Okoyama, although it doesn't have nearly the sheen of that. You get a little bit of sheen maybe here. But not much. It's pretty subtle, and I've never really seen it with writing, so I wouldn't worry about sheen. If you're a sheen lover, not your ink. If you hate sheen, this is an ink for you. It reminds me a little bit of Okoyama. It reminds me a little bit of franklin-christoph Sweet Maroon, another of these sort of dark maroon inks that I love. Although Sweet Maroon, as we'll see, does end up shading lighter than this. It goes more pink, I suppose, than this will. As I say here, it's got a pretty dead medium sort of flow. Maybe on the, I really can't say. It's just kind of medium. I've never had any hard starts. I've never had any absolute floods. It doesn't seem to just like soak through everything. And I had it in two very different pens. I've got it in this one, which is a franklin-christoph Panther 40. This was one of the special pens from last year at Philly with this turquoise inlay. I love that. It's turquoise colored anyway. And then it's got a gold double broad sig on there that Audrey made for me a while ago. And so that's a really great nib, and I really love this ink in it. And then this is a Pelikan M205, I believe is the number on this one. It doesn't actually say, but usually the silver trim is a 05 number, not the 200. So this is a fine nib. So I've got a fine and a double broad, and as you can see, they both look very nice. They both behave perfectly well. Usually these are a little bit on the wet side, these Pelikans, although the steel nibs are less wet than the gold. And this one is, it's a little bit, I'd say it's on the well-behaved side for a double broad. I mean, double broads can sometimes just be a paintbrush, but this one's a little bit maybe on the dryish side, so it doesn't overwhelm. But I had no problems with this ink in either of these two very different pens, so definitely a thing to check out, this Ebi ink. It's the only one I've actually used from Taccia, I believe, so I need to get on the stick and use more Taccia inks, because these look cool. They're like 13 different colors, and it's reasonably priced, too, at, what is it, $12 for a 40 ml bottle, so not bad at all, especially now with like Sailor prices going up and that sort of thing. There is some bleed and feather on the copy paper. Go ahead and take a look at it here. As you can see, a little bit of feather every once in a while, but not a ton. That's these lines here, of course. And then on the back, you can see it did do some bleeding, but this is 20-pound Staples copy paper, and it is not particularly good at preventing ink from bleeding through. Pretty much every ink I've done recently has at least some degree of bleed through, except for this one. What is this one? Oh, that's Carmen. Yeah, Carmen's not really going to bleed through much because pigment ink. But yeah, you get a little bit of that. So it's not terrible, but it's there on the 20-pound. I had no problem on any paper that was better than 20-pound paper. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of those. So firstly, I had it in this. This is an ink journal, of course, the Tomoe River ink journal, and you can see here both of these came out really nicely, I think. And I've had this ink in here since like October, so then it looks like I got that. So a couple of months I've been using it in these pens, and I have refilled it a few times. This bottle is perfectly easy to refill from, unlike some of those sailor bottles. You can see you get some more of these like pink characteristics because this Panther 40 nib is a little bit, as I said, on the dry side, which is kind of how I wanted it. And so it spreads that ink over the larger double broad sig area, and so you get kind of a lighter color there sometimes. But very nice shading in parts of this. All right, and of course, nothing's coming through. It's Tomoe River, so it would be shocking if something did come through. All right, the other thing is a Inky Fingers currently inked. This is wheat straw paper, and there you go. There's the wheat straw paper. Again, you can see it's a little bit darker in the M200 or 205. I forget which one it is, and then it is in the Panther, but that's kind of how it goes when you have a slightly wetter nib that puts all that ink in the same place, as opposed to a Panther with the double broad sig that spreads it out a little bit more. So, very nice characteristics on both of those, I think. And then let's look at the back. Nothing's coming through this one either. This it would be these two, and these wheat straw papers are really good at that. All right, so no problem on anything better, and of course, no problem here. I did get a little bit of bleed through on the swatch, but that's putting a ton of ink on the paper and just letting it sit. So that doesn't happen very often, but it does happen occasionally. And as I say here in the written bit, I didn't have any problems with this ink. It was my first Taccia ink, and I really like it. All right, so let's take a look at the water test. And we'll look at chromatography here in a sec, and that'll be it. Oh, no, a bunch of ink samples. Yeah. Okay. So, put some water on this guy. Spread it out a skosh. All right, just kind of wait. All right, good enough. Good. Soak that up a little bit. The Kleenex. And yeah, really interesting. So you get like a lot of red here on the tissue paper, but not you can still totally read it, although it did smear around and it did become very purple, which is something I found in the chromatography as well, which was kind of neat. Here is the chromatography for this ink. And let's flip it over just for fun. There you go. Look at that. How cool is that? This is a very complex ink. All kinds of colors in there. You got this baseline of like a periwinkle or violet something down there. And then as it moves up the page, you get the little chromatography strip here. You get some nice maroon streaks in there, which are closer to the actual color of the ink. And then like this super bright red in there just at the top where it stopped moving. This is a very interesting chromatography. So really cool. Taccia Ebi. I don't know who makes this ink, as I said. I've never actually seen a result like this before, so that's pretty darn cool. Okay, let's take a look at a whole bunch of color comparisons. All right, so most of these are going to be on coloring cards like this one, and so this is Taccia's Ebi. Also, it says purple red on the, I should say, it says purple red on here somewhere, or that's what the translation is a lot of times. It's Ebi purple red. And I'm not a big fan of purples, but I do love red. So here it is next to Faber-Castell Garnet, which is definitely more red, I think, than Ebi is, but it's not too totally different. And then let's give it... here's another one that you don't hear much about, but Levinger has some nice inks. This is Levinger Pomegranate, which is in the same kind of area, I think, of colors, although Pomegranate gets a whole lot more sheen. As you can see, if I can pick it up off, there we go. A lot more sheen there on the Pomegranate. You don't really get that from the Ebi, although you see just a little bit where it pooled. All right. Let's put up here Cult Pens Deep Dark Red. These Cult Pens inks are made by Diamine, and they're all very nice from what I've tried. It's not, it doesn't have any of these pink characteristics like you get in Ebi. And then here's another sort of darkish red. This is Monteverde's Mercury Noir. These Noir inks are real winners, I think. And this one is pretty darn close, although definitely more red than this sort of pinky purple that you get in the maroon of Taccia's Ebi. All right. Next up, we'll throw in franklin-christoph Sweet Maroon, which here on the coloring card ends up looking a lot more red than I really expected it to. And then next to that we'll put Okuyama, but it must be said that Okuyama sheens like crazy, and so you don't really get a whole lot of the Okuyama color on this coloring card because it just really turns into gold sheen. But I think it's a little closer than it than it appears. All right. Then two, which are called Bordeaux. We've got Diatramentis Bordeaux Red and Sailor's or Kobe's Sailor number 6 Bordeaux. Come on, there we go. Which are both pretty close. This one's way more expensive, and I haven't actually used this one in a long time. I haven't used Bordeaux in quite a while, but of these, I think the Ebi is definitely more of the more pink tones in this one than the other. All right, so this has been Taccia's Ebi, which is a very cool ink, I think. I'm actually really a big fan of this one. So thank you again to Pen Chalet for sending this out for me to review. I appreciate it. And y'all go and check out Taccia inks because these seem to be pretty cool. All right, that's it. I'll see y'all around. Peace out.